All right, hello and welcome to our college admission rep panel. We have a lot of fantastic college admission representatives from some of our public universities throughout the Midwest, and we are excited for you guys to hear from them. My name is Lonnie Johnston. I am a school counselor at Westfield High School, and I have a kind of co-moderator who's helping me out today from Carmel.
Hi, I'm Melinda Stephan. I'm a counselor at Carmel High School.
So we are going to go ahead and get started with introductions from our admission representatives, and we're going to start with our admissions representative from Ball State University.
Greetings, my name is Lindsay Spear, and I serve as the Director of Undergraduate Admissions and Orientation at Ball State. Ball State is a mid-sized state school here in Indiana. We're located in Muncie, which is just north of Indianapolis. And we are a campus of about 22,000 students, with about 18,000 of those being undergrad students.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marnie Blair, and I have the privilege of serving as the Associate Director of Recruitment at Indiana University, Bloomington, located in Bloomington, Indiana, about an hour south of you guys. We have about 40,000 grad and undergraduate students, of which about 33,000 undergraduates enjoy. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I'm Karen Iglio with Ivy Tech Community College. Ivy Tech is the community college for the state of Indiana. We're the largest college in the state with approximately 100,000 students across our 40 campuses. Your closest campus would be in Noblesville. We have a small size of just about 1,000 students. And the other option closest to Carmel and Westfield would be Indianapolis, which is our largest campus, around 20,000 students. We offer over 60 different majors and 150 different degree programs. Students can start at Ivy Tech, graduate and start their career, or transfer to one of these amazing schools here on the panel today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Morrow. I'm a senior admission counselor for Miami University. Miami is a public mid-sized school. We serve about 17,000 undergraduate students currently. A little over 120 different majors, Division I sports, all kinds of great things. We're just north of Cincinnati and about an hour south of Dayton, Ohio. And no, we're not on the beach. We're the other Miami.
Hi, my name is Iris Shan Van Buren. I work for Michigan State University. I'm the regional manager of recruitment for Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Michigan State is located in the Mitten State, so we are right in the middle of the state in the city of East Lansing. About 50,000, 51,000 students, about 39,000 undergraduate students.
Hello, everyone. I'm Megan Dorton from Purdue University in West Lafayette, and I have the privilege of serving as the Senior Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions. Purdue University is located in West Lafayette, about an hour from you all in Hamilton County. We are a large public university with about 33,000 total undergraduate students.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Potts. I am a regional admissions recruiter from the University of Alabama. Regional admissions recruiter, meaning I'm actually based in Fishers, Indiana, and I just recruit students from the state of Indiana to the University of Alabama. We are a large school of 33,000 students, about 8 hours south in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Again, about 33,000 students. Welcome.
Hi there. My name is Carrie, and I'm an admissions counselor at the University of Cincinnati. Our campus is about 2 miles north of downtown Cincinnati, and we're only about 2 hours from Indianapolis. We're a mid-sized public institution, so we have around 26,000 undergrads on our main campus.
Y'all, my name is Lindsay Shokes, and I am your admissions counselor from the University of Kentucky. The University of Kentucky, we are a large public institution located in Lexington, Kentucky. We have about 30,000 total students, and about 24,000 of those will be your classmates. Lexington is just a little over 3 hours south of y'all. Excited to be here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Barbold, Senior Associate Director of Admissions at the University of Louisville. So I'm located in Louisville, Kentucky, which is about 2 hours from Hamilton County. At the University of Louisville, we have a little under 12,000 undergraduate students. So we're considered kind of that small, medium-sized public research institution with over 200 majors to choose from. Happy to be here and share some insight with you all.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome. We've tried really hard to think of questions that our students really, kind of inquire about, ask us, probably ask you guys as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Oftentimes, a lot of students, will ask the question, what should we be looking for in order to find that best fit in a college? And Ryan, I'd like to go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lonnie. I think finding the right fit, it's a presentation in itself, so I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. But there's several things I think you should look for in that process. What type of school are you looking for? We all represent public institutions, but do you want to look at a smaller private school? Do you want to look at big size, medium size, small size, 2-year, 4-year? There's a lot of different options that you have. I also think it's important to look, what does the school offer in majors, clubs, organizations, cost, and you'll probably hear me talk a little bit more about cost a little bit. But do you want to be close to home? Do you want to go out of state, etc.? So I'll leave it for some of my other colleagues to add some more.
Anyone else like to chime in on that?
One thing that I think is helpful for me to remember, and it's a lot based on what Ryan said, is the fun acronym of SLACC. So SLACC, you're thinking of size, location, academic major, community, and cost. So those are kind of, if you can run through those. And as you're going through the process, you're going to get more in depth at different points of them. But as you all are thinking, you have so many great options all over for you. And so that's a good way, SLACC, SLACC, to run through that and think about all your options.
Thanks, Lindsay. I really like that acronym. I haven't heard that one before, so that's a good one to remember. So moving on, what are advantages or disadvantages, excuse me, of attending a large or small public institution? And Carrie, why don't you start us out with that?
Yeah, so I think that it's really up to the individual. Obviously, what I might see as an advantage of a school could be a disadvantage for another student. But I think it really comes down to your personality and what is most important to you. Obviously, I think from someone coming from working at a mid-sized public institution, I actually spent my undergrad at a small private liberal arts school. So I have kind of a bit of both of those experiences. But I think you'll find a lot of overlap. It may not seem like it, but you really do. So even though you might be looking at a school that's a larger public school and you think that you don't get that one-on-one attention with your professor, you still do. So don't be intimidated by the larger schools if you think that you can't find, like I mentioned, there's a lot of overlap that you may not initially see. So definitely do research and just talk to the current students there. I think that's your best resource, honestly, outside of us as admissions counselors and representatives, is the current students at that university.
When I was in high school back in the day, I was told that if I went to a big school, I would be a number and I would have no opportunities for leadership and no one would have any idea who I was. And I have learned since that that is not the case. So you can make a big school of, let's say, 33,000 students small. So you can take schools all through things like research or honors college or clubs and organizations or Greek life or those types of things. So don't rule out a big school because you are nervous about that size. And I, like Carrie, had that perspective of I went to a small school of 1,200 students. And it was really hard to make that small school big. I was able to do so through things like study abroad. So it's not impossible. You can make the world be in your backyard in college. But know that at a big school, you're going to get to meet students from all over the world, students who are different than you and have those interactions, which I think is special for a large school.
Absolutely. Thanks, Carrie and Jennifer, for kind of mentioning some of those things that are important to students to remember as finding that right fit as well, of talking to students besides just the college admission reps, and then all of the opportunities that schools can offer, whether you're large, medium, or small, different opportunities like clubs, activities, study abroad opportunities, and the chances just to, again, meet people from all across the world. So obviously an important question to many students, and maybe now more in particular, is the financial piece of paying for college, and certainly, trying to find those scholarships. So let's talk a little bit about that and how students can best find scholarships from colleges. Iris, if you want to start us off with the answer to that.
Great, yes. So obviously going to college costs money. One thing that students can do definitely is in your high school time, make sure you're getting good grades, doing well on test scores, finding a way to be a well-rounded student and taking different extracurricular activities, doing leadership roles. Ways to look for scholarships for colleges. You can look at the college. Some colleges, Michigan State automatically considers you for academic scholarships. There might be scholarships that you have to apply for. So going on the scholarship website, looking for other resources like fastweb.com outside of the university. There's a really fun scholarship opportunity from a company called Duct Tape called Stuck at Prom. So if you design an outfit out of duct tape, you can win like $10,000 for scholarships. So look for creative ways. One thing to avoid, however, is any place or any organization that's telling you to pay money to find money. So you should never pay for scholarship opportunities. Look in your jobs that you work at, maybe your parents or your church, your synagogue, your mosque, or something along that lines. There's lots of different places to find scholarships.
Excellent. Thanks, Iris. Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, I'll say something real quick, Lonnie. I think cost is an important factor in the fit process, but I always encourage students, don't make it the #1 reason why you pick a school. Okay, there's a lot of ways that schools can make it very affordable for you. And Iris hit a lot of the great websites and great resources, but I also would encourage you to connect with your admissions counselor at that school, okay? Build that relationship with them because they can work with you through the financial aspects, and they will have your best interest in mind when trying to help eliminate some of the costs associated with going to school. So.
Okay, thank you. So another question that students ask, obviously, in the admissions process is, what are they looking at when they're looking at me for admissions? So, and we talk about kind of a holistic review. So can some of you kind of chime in specifically as what your school looks at and what a holistic review might mean at your school? Megan, if we can start with you.
Sure, thanks, Lonnie. So holistic review can look a little different at all institutions. So I think one of the most important things for students to think about is this is a fair question for you to ask an admission counselor. It's important that you know the things that are important to them so that you can ensure that those pieces are really shown in your application for admission. So holistic review essentially means, it's like the 10,000 foot view, but essentially a holistic review means we're looking at all of the pieces of information that you're providing to us in the application for admission. So of course, the courses that you took and grades that you earned in those courses, standards test scores if those are required, extracurricular activities, leadership experiences, volunteer work, essays, any information that's provided in that application portfolio is considered as part of the holistic review. I'm sure some other colleagues here on the call will have some other insight or additional pieces that they might consider as part of their holistic review. Things like potentially demonstrated interest or legacy connection, which might be important at certain institutions. So again, it's an important and fair question for you to really ask institutions that you're potentially considering. I'll stop there and see if others want to chime in.
Okay, so along with that, Megan mentioned, obviously they're going to look at your academics, and by academics is, you know, one of the most important pieces of paper is that transcript. On the transcript, obviously, is a GPA. Certainly, we all know that every school is a little different on how they figure a GPA, what scale they're on, etc. How important is that GPA when it comes to admissions? And then maybe that's a separate question when it comes to scholarships. So let's see here. Why don't Lindsay Spear, why don't you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, thank you. So I would say when you think of your GPA, you're obviously thinking of your classes in terms of your core classes. So in Indiana, we all have that core 40 basic requirement with obviously the academic honors diploma track that's available. I think, again, it's a question to ask that school in terms of what are the requirements of core 40 versus academic honors, or what are they looking for within your curriculum. It may also be specific to your major area of study and what area you plan to go into in terms of the courses or requirements that they're going to encourage you to complete curriculum-wise in high school. But along with that, then obviously you're completing those courses, but hopefully you're completing those courses successfully. And that's really where those grades and that GPA come into place. A lot of schools have weighted GPAs versus unweighted GPAs. You may look at AP, IB, dual credit, other opportunities that kind of give you that more rigor in terms of that curriculum. At Ball State specifically, we look at a weighted GPA, but other institutions may look at your unweighted GPA, or they may recalculate a GPA specifically based upon your core, or based specifically on those courses or those areas that that program and area of study require. So again, it's a question to ask that institution in terms of what are they really looking at? Are they focusing in on your overall GPA? Are they focusing in on something specific to a program area or a class area? And really knowing what that means for you. It's a great question to ask early so you can prepare because you're applying to institutions typically in August prior to your senior year. So everything you really have is just your GPA through your junior year. So that's another question to ask is, you know, what do I need to ensure I'm doing throughout my senior year to continually complete those requirements, or to ensure, you know, that I'm eligible for this scholarship, or that I'm still eligible for this program, or whatever it may be. And so your GPA is very important. I think we all have different feedback and opinions we would give in terms of the grades you're receiving those courses and what that looks like. But again, it's asking those questions to make sure you're not only honing in on that institution, but also honing in on that program if there's an area specific that you're interested in.
Right. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Lindsay, because it's important to know that, you know, some colleges might have specific programs that are going to be maybe a little more rigorous in requirements for GPA or classes, et cetera. And so that's important for students to understand that, what it looks like at each of the schools they are interested in, and knowing the difference between those. So thanks for that. Karen, I'd also like you to chime in on that because I think that's an important piece for Ivy Tech.
Sure, thank you. As a community college, we are an open enrollment school. So what that means in plain speak is that all students who apply to Ivy Tech are automatically accepted as soon as they hit the submit button on the application. It's before we even see the transcript and review grades and test score. With that being said, I want students to know that it's a free pass to not be concerned about grades and test scores. It does take away some of the stress, worry, and anxiety about getting admitted, of course, but don't be fooled. Courses at Ivy Tech are college rigor, they're college level, and they're designed to be, because the majority of our students transfer to competitive four-year schools and the four-year schools that are participating on the panel today. So I think it's really important also, even though, as Lindsay mentioned, when students apply to colleges in the fall of senior year, you know, they're looking at grades through grades 9 through 11. But I think it's super important for all students, even those that are considering Ivy Tech, to still continue to take a rigorous course load during senior year. And yes, you should take math. Sometimes students say, well, I don't know the requirement for senior year. You should take a math class. So that way you are prepared for the classes, not only at Ivy Tech, but then beyond when you transfer to one of the four-year schools. And just a little side note, Ivy Tech does have some programs that are competitive for admission, such as nursing, engineering, and our honors program. So those are specific programs that do have rigorous requirements.
Thank you, Karen. Another important question is,
I was just going to chime in really fast because a question that we often get at Purdue, and some others on the panel might also get this too, is because we ask students to self-report their high school courses and grades, there's often some stress or nervousness about doing that and what that means in terms of the GPA, in terms of the rigor and the courses that they've taken. So just when students are entering their courses and grades in the self-reported section, they're able to tell us the level or the rigor of that course as part of that process. So students, you know, they would tell us biology, but then they could also indicate if it was an AP course or IB or whatever it might be, and then the grade that they earned in that course. And students are able to tell us what their grading scale is as well, so that we're able to really have that complete picture, even when students are self-reporting that information. Students are able to also self-report their GPA straight off of their transcript within that process. So there are a few things that for the self-reported process that look a little different, but it's important that students know we recognize the challenge and the rigor and take into consideration all of those pieces, even when they're self-reporting their high school courses and grades.
Thanks, Megan. So another question that's often comes up is, you know, what happens if the student gets, you know, 1 or 2 lower grades? It could be in a honors class, maybe an AP, or maybe even a regular class. Is that really going to affect their ability to get in? Wondering if Marnie or Christian, if you guys have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of go back to one of the earlier questions, you know, Miami does utilize that holistic review. So we're going to look at the GPA, we're going to look at the test scores, but that's certainly not the only thing that we look at. And if you're taking a rigorous course, you know, AP Calc or something like that, that's a big deal. And those aren't easy courses. So we take that into consideration. We're very cognizant of what your transcript looks like. And, you know, we know that those courses can be very challenging. So if you've got a couple of those lower marks on there, just know that, you know, that holistic review really kicks in at that point.
And we're also looking at what a student has done over time. So grade trends are really important as well. So, you know, if a student is challenging themselves or doing well in a college preparatory class, and there might be a grade trend, you know, down or up, we're going to be looking at that. So you have heard that junior year is important. However, with that said, some schools may also ask for senior classes to see if that trend either continues or stays the same. So, you know, just because you might be struggling in a course, that doesn't mean that you won't be admitted in that institution.
I appreciate you saying that, Marnie, because oftentimes students get a little maybe thrown off or, you know, a little concerned if they get a note in the senior year, like, you know, we like you, but we'd like to semester school, semester grades. And so, you know, we always try to ease our students' fears, obviously. But again, we remind them too that that's why it's important to stay the course and stay strong in the senior year, because obviously colleges want to make sure.
Yeah, and let me say it also a different way. If a school, at least how we do it, if we are asking a student to send us new academic information, we see the potential. We see that a student is maybe just below where we are admitting at that time. So we give you, the student, the opportunity to maximize your potential by sending us new academic information. So think of it, kind of twist it a little bit, not, oh, they don't want me. No, we want to see what you can do. And a lot of times that can still be your senior year. So the classes you're taking your senior year are really important. How you're doing is really, really important. And even to extend that a little further, if you don't get into your dream school, that doesn't mean the door closes. All of us are here because we want to do what we can to help you realize your goals, your interests, your dreams. So continue to have that conversation. Like Ryan was saying, our offices have admissions counselors that are assigned to schools typically, or regions. So get to know that person because they want to help you now and in the future.
Thanks, Marnie. So moving a little bit into another piece of many college applications these days is the essay. And again, not every school is going to have that as part of their application to the school. But I want to hear from you all on, you know, what are you looking for in that essay? And maybe what you're not looking for as well. Carrie, if you want to start us out with that.
Yeah, so I think in terms of the essay, it can go a few different ways, but really the way that we kind of see it at UC is it's a way for you guys as students to really show us who you are as a person, as a full person outside of maybe your academics. So explain to us a little bit about you. It can be something like a challenging time you've gone through, but it doesn't have to be. If you haven't had that, you know, challenge or setback in your life, it doesn't mean that you're not worthy to write that essay. It can really be about anything. And I think something that is a little bit unique to UC this past year and that we're going to continue is we had an essay about why you're applying to the program that you're applying to, because we are direct admit to program. So that one is something where we really want to see students' interest, you know, what sparked your interest in this program? What's your passion? How did you find it? And it could be something as simple as I took a class in high school and that really sparked my interest in this field and I want to explore it more. Or maybe it's something where you have had experience outside of the classroom too. So the essays are really another piece, like we've all mentioned, in that holistic review that we're looking at that just makes you an individual. So that's your place to really shine and make it your own. So take it seriously, but not too seriously, because like I said, you can really write about anything.
I'd like to chime in. One things I know, students take a look at the little box that they're on their computer screen and it has, you know, tells you, okay, you have to write your essay in 400 words or whatever, and they just get very intimidated. So one thing I recommend to students is a way to get it jump started is maybe take out your cell phone, have your best friend, your mom, your favorite teacher, or whatever, ask you the question and then talk to them. We want to hear it kind of in your voice. We don't want you to super edit so it sounds like a dictionary or that your parent wrote your essay. That's not what we want to hear. We really want to hear about you as a student. For many of us, we will never actually see you in person, or we might talk to you on the phone, but we don't really know anything about you except for what you give us in your essay. So it's very important to take your time, but also be genuine and be yourself.
Go ahead.
I would say there's also, I think that we mentioned grade trends and one lower grade, things like that. You know, some of those things we see, but we don't know why they happened. So there is a space in those essays too for you to tell us, you know, maybe something in your personal life happened during those times, and just explain maybe the lower grade trend or one bad grade in a class, something like that. Because like we've mentioned, this could be the only time that we're really getting to know who you are as a student and a person. So definitely take advantage of that, because we don't know unless you tell us.
The other thing is that when it comes to scholarships, a lot of times we are looking for things in your essay to put you over the edge for some of those scholarships. So if you are involved with 100 different activities, talk about the leadership, talk about how you've impacted other people. Those things are important. And again, unless you tell us, we don't know. So don't just list things out, but be a little bit more, give us a little bit more explanation, give us a little bit more meat. Try not to be too generic, because if you take that essay and it can describe your best friend or your brother or sister or something like that, then it might be a little more generic. You really want to give us your flavor and what makes you unique for our institution.
Very good. So another really important piece on a lot of our students' minds, obviously, are test scores and how that's going to play into their admissions. You know, in particular, this school year, many of our juniors, unfortunately, have not had a chance to take their test yet. And I know, obviously, some schools, many schools across the country have decided to go test optional for this next school year, or maybe permanently. So talk a little bit about that and how, you know, kind of ease their minds on, you know, test scores and admissions for next year. Let's see here. Marnie, did you want to start off?
Sure, yeah. So this is an unprecedented year. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of unknowns still. College Board, ACT, universities across the country are doing what they can to provide resources for students. So let me just take a moment and include your wonderful, amazing counselors in your high schools, because that's going to be the pulse of finding all of this information. In terms of tests, research shows that it's the best predictor of consideration, an academic evaluation, right? How you do over time, how you do on a test is the best predictor, the combination, not just one or the other, combination. However, sometimes there's more than meets the eye. This is why so many colleges evaluate holistically, because grades and scores, it's just not enough. Right? So colleges are realizing we need to learn more about who you are. So what I would say is it's all about research. It's all about what we can do. And again, there's a lot of unknowns. I will say that IU Bloomington decided before the health situation began that we were going test optional beginning on August 1 for admission for next year. And also self-report exams. So again, do your research, talk to your admissions counselor. I know I'm a broken record here, but we want to do what we can to make this process as user-friendly when there's a lot of stuff out there. So websites will be updated, your counselors will inform you. And if you are able to take the exam, I would say, you know, try to do so. But again, we understand that this is an unprecedented year.
I'm going to have to say that Michigan State is going test optional for this upcoming year. I don't know if that will stick. We have no idea. This is completely uncharted territory on our part, because we have always required either the SAT or ACT. We do not require the writing portion, but we do require the general exams. Right now, we're looking into how we're going to evaluate scholarships. So the ACTs and the SATs even though it's optional, you still want to consider taking them because of the fact that that might also impact scholarship opportunities. At this time, we're still working that part out, but hopefully we'll have something by the time students are looking at us and starting applications in August. There'll be a set process for that.
At Ivy Tech, as a community college, we do not require that students take SATs or ACTs, although I do recommend it, especially for students that are considering Ivy Tech, but are also possibly thinking of, going right to the four-year school. It's good to take, as Iris mentioned, for scholarship opportunities. We admit students, as I mentioned earlier, no matter if they have test scores or not. We do utilize the test scores, however, later on for course placement. So once a student is admitted to Ivy Tech, we will review GPA and test score and utilize that for course placement going forward.
I think one thing I want to add is that all of this information, there's a lot of, this institution versus that institution versus asking questions and really working directly with your admissions representative, your high school counselor, and every institution is a little bit different. And one of the things that's typically mentioned in a panel between Megan and I is to create a Google Doc, if you want to call it, where you actually have your columns and your rows. And so take all of these questions that we're asking today, and make those maybe the rows or the columns that, like in your Google Doc, and then put the institution there, those institutions that you're looking at, that you have questions on, that you're interested in. And as you kind of go through, you can fill those in with those gaps based upon that institution and kind of answering those questions and gathering that information. It's a one-stop shop, one place. You can share it with your parent or whoever you want to, a friend or whatever. So you have this kind of running Google Doc. But that way then you're specifically answering those questions to that institution. It's there, you can see it. You can keep track of things and you can also add to it. So as you visit an institution or as you learn more or apply, you can keep adding to that document. And it kind of makes it a one-stop shop and an easy place for you to know that you're meeting deadlines, that you're meeting requirements, you're doing your part, and you're hearing also from that institution. So that's my suggestion with all of these, because I know it's a lot to differentiate and to try to figure out, especially with the current circumstances right now and those changes. And so that's one easy way where you can then continually update things as updates happen or changes happen, or as you learn more and go through that process with that institution as well.
Excellent tips, Lindsay. Organization is key, and I saw everyone shaking their heads, so I think everyone would agree. And trust me, as school counselors and college counselors, we certainly try to impress that upon our students as well. Sometimes we're not always successful, but I think it is, having a Google Doc, Google Sheet, whatever, to be able to compare all of those schools in one place. It just makes it, a little bit easier so that you can have, as you gather the info, and can differentiate between the schools. So thanks, everyone. Last but not least, kind of that another piece of the application, and again, may or may not be required for different schools, but letters of recommendation. Megan, can you talk a little bit about what that might mean to an application?
Sure. So the big tip that I always give for letters of recommendation is the most helpful letter of recommendation tells us things that we don't already know or can't already glean from your application. So when you're thinking about who to select as a recommendation writer, some important things to think about are: A, does the institution specify who that should come from? Many institutions don't, but some do. So if they're asking for a specific kind of teacher or a counselor, make sure that you know what that expectation is from the institution you're applying to. But then I would say, in addition to giving that writer plenty of time, if you ask 2 days in advance for a letter, you're going to get a letter that's been written 2 days in advance. So I think that it's important to think about that. But also, who can tell us things that we're not already gleaning from that application? So is it someone who can talk about maybe your work ethic? Is it a coach who's, maybe you have listed, you're part of the basketball team on your application and your grades are maybe average and your test scores are maybe average, but that coach can talk about the first one in the gym or the last one out of the gym. You're always shagging balls to make sure that everything's cleaned up and you're the team leader and you keep everyone motivated. Those are things that we can't see within an application for admission. Those are things that your grades don't tell us, other than maybe that hard work component. So who can tell us those things that we can't see otherwise? And sometimes that might be a teacher in a class where you might have really struggled. A teacher who says, this student was fantastic and they could have taught the class for me and you got an A+ in the class. That letter didn't really tell me anything that I didn't already know when you earned an A+ in that class. So just think about who might be the best person to write that letter for you, give them ample time, and then make sure that it fits the parameters of the institution that you're applying to.
Thank you, Megan. So I want to kind of move into a little bit different area past the application process. You all kind of really did a great job of kind of giving explanation of what, you know, that holistic review looks like. So I think our students have a really good idea of what you guys are looking for. So appreciate that. Honors programs, that's becoming more and more popular, I think, especially at public institutions. And we have a lot of students who are asking about, you know, what's, you know, I want to go to a medium to large school, but I want to make it individualized, like we talked about earlier. And so, you know, and I want that challenge, that extra challenge. Can some of you guys kind of talk about what an honors program looks like and kind of the benefits of being involved in that type of program?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So at Miami, we have 3 different honors programs. We've got the University Honors Program, then the Academic Scholars Program, and the Presidential Fellows Program. So the thing that all 3 of those share is, you know, access to more rigorous honors courses. You've got priority registration and housing and things like that within the honors residence halls. But overall, you know, it's more about kind of delving deeper into your academic experience and having those opportunities to do research alongside faculty and things like that. So, but within those 3 separate ones, you know, the Presidential Fellows is you know, that comes with a full tuition scholarship, and then the Academic Scholars comes with a smaller scholarship. So they're all different in various ways, but again, they all kind of share that academic experience and kind of that living learning LLC experience that you get with the residence hall and living in the Honors LLC, which is our living learning communities at Miami. So, you know, it's all about being a student, but kind of going beyond that and going beyond the classroom and again, working with faculty and having those more rigorous experiences within the honors programs.
So at Michigan State University, our honors program is by invitation only. So as a student coming in, your grades, your test scores, those things are going to be very critical. If you are close to that honors range, we do encourage you to actually reach out to our honors college and then submit some additional information. Because if perhaps your school doesn't offer AP or IB classes or some of this more rigorous curriculum that we're looking for, but you're an excellent student, maybe your test score is just a hair shy, you can talk to us about other things, extracurriculars, ways you're involved in community, and other ways that you are possibly going to be a good potential candidate for honors college. For our largest academic awards, generally there are students that are in our honors college that have applied early and have been invited to come and compete for our largest academic scholarships. Our honors college is over 60 years old, so it's really prestigious. And the biggest difference is that when you come in as an honors student, you don't have to take those typical integrative or general studies classes. You're allowed to start moving into higher level classes right off the bat. If you're wanting to do academic research and your test scores and grades are high enough, you could possibly be invited to do a professorial assistantship and get paid for that right the first week that you are on campus. So a lot of things with our honors really tries to go beyond just, as I say, a gold sticker on your forehead. We know you're a good fit. We're trying to give you opportunities to really expand, and even the opportunity sometimes to get a bachelor's and master's at the same time. So take advantage of those. When you're looking at different schools, find out what their qualifications are. Most of them do ask for students to apply early. So don't wait. I mean, I had a student before who would have gotten honors scholarships and things, and he applied on April 30th, literally. I get that we are not your first choice, but you should have applied early, because now you've basically, your risk not even getting into the institution at that point. So don't think, okay, just because I have this, it's automatically going to be a given. Do apply early and get that consideration.
I think to add to that, like a general rule of thumb is to think of honors programs as, you've completed rigor, you've done different things at the high school level, and you really want to continue that at the college level in terms of those opportunities. But to also think of it as a cohort within a cohort. So, you're going to have that honors cohort of other students, of faculty, of staff, of opportunities that are available to you, because you're in that honors program or because you're affiliated with that honors program, just as you're going to have that within your academic area and within your major. And so there's some different, opportunities. We like to think of it as like an honors family. They really kind of become a family because, again, those classes are typically smaller. So you really get the chance to get to know those students. Your discussions, your conversations, or the even classes may be very different than just your typical courses that you would see within a regular curriculum. And you just have that opportunity to kind of make things even smaller and get to know people at various levels that you might not otherwise have gotten to know outside of your major area of study or whatever program it was that you're pursuing within that institution. You don't major in honors, you major in your area. The honors is kind of that emphasis or that added piece, and that maybe for you a bonus as far as your academic opportunities that are available to you at that institution while you're there as a student.
I was just going to mention, I know that Marnie and Lindsay and a couple others have touched on just the importance of research and looking at individual institutions, because a lot of them are going to be different. So at UC, there's definitely an academic portion of the University Honors Program of being invited, but it has nothing to do with academics once you're at UC. It's all about experiences. So you do 5 honors experiences. So yeah, that academic piece is there, but it's really all outside of the classroom. So that's a little bit different than other universities. And 2, one thing that I tell students, the honors program is amazing and they're amazing at every institution, but don't think that you can't take advantage of the other opportunities. If you're not in the honors program, you still have the opportunity to work with professors, do research, have co-ops, internships, and things like that. So it's not solely in that honors program. It's a great experience, but don't make that the only thing that you're looking at or feel bummed if you don't get in.
Thank you all for those great answers. We are running out of time. Of course, we have way too many questions to get through in a short span of time. And you guys have just given such great information to our students and families. I guess we just want to finish up because I think another important piece of college is resources and support. So whether that's academic, social, emotional, that's all very important, especially in these times right now. And so we want to make sure that students are aware of how to access those resources. And let's see, Jen, maybe do you want to start off?
Sure. So I guess the word that comes to mind, even as you're like applying to colleges or thinking about applying to colleges, is just breathe. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to find a place for you. It's going to work out in the end. And know that once you get to our schools, every school in the nation has amazing resources for you to be successful. We want you to graduate. We want you to do well in your classes. We want you to take advantage of the whole college experience where you grow as a person in and out of the classroom. And then we have resources if you're struggling. So if you need a tutor, if you need a writing center, if you need counseling, we have it. So please don't wait to take advantage of those opportunities. I would investigate as looking around at colleges to see if they have the resources that you need to be successful. We're here for you. We're cheering you on.
Anyone
I
else
think
want
what
to chime
that
in?
is remembering you're not alone either. You are not alone. There's a lot of people there, as mentioned, that are rooting you on. They're there to support you, but there's a lot of resources and services, people who can relate to you, people who are going through the same thing, that are really there to assist you and to ensure that you're successful, and that you're having a great experience. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for questions. Don't be afraid to open your door and go out and explore or meet people or go to office hours with your professors. Do all those types of things that they tell you about, because they're there for a reason, and they're there to help you, and they're there to serve you.
And if I could also add, sometimes it can be overwhelming because all of us have so much opportunity, support, and it might be overwhelming. And that's where you start where you are, your peers, your professors, your graduate assistants or teaching assistants, lots and lots of people that are in your bubble can also offer you support. So if you don't know where to go, there's going to be people who can help. And it starts with you too. Frankly, college is a time where it's up to you to decide what you want to do academically, culturally, socially, support everything. And you get to decide, okay, I think I need to do X, right? Whether explore a major or find support or whatever the case may be. And let me also challenge you that even if you're doing well in a class, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take advantage of some of these resources as well. So go to office hours, because you might find other experiential opportunities. Go to these writing or math or whatever support services, because there might be other opportunities as well.
I always like to tell students that in high school right now, you're in training for a college if you want to go to college. So if you see yourself getting a grade that you don't like, talk to your teachers. When you go to college, you're going to want to talk to your professors. I tell students all the time, the first thing you should do after you're done from your first class or whatever, just go over to the professor and say, hey, my name's so-and-so. Hi, Dr. Smith. I'm in your class. Just so they start to get to know your name and your face, because they always say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. What happens is maybe down the road at the end of the semester, there's 50 students in that class, and maybe 3 people have come to that professor and actually talked to that professor. At that point, maybe the professor knows about an internship or some other opportunity, and because they know your name and because you've actually engaged with them, that might be a good person that you can ask for a recommendation letter and those kinds of things down the road. So we think forward and start that in high school. Really don't be intimidated about asking for help, because the best students actually ask for help. They don't just wait until the last minute and say, oh my gosh, I'm not doing well. So take advantage of those things early.
Okay, so if we could sum up everything in one word, I guess I would say ask. Ask for help. Ask for clarification from your counselors, from your admissions reps, from students on campus, perhaps students in your high school who are attending a particular college you're interested in. So just ask. We appreciate greatly your time. We know that you all are incredibly busy, especially during these crazy, unprecedented times. And we greatly appreciate your wealth of knowledge and just your way in which you're sharing this information with our students and families. So again, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.